By no way whatsoever could you say this guy is a believer in Western values. What drives that?
So, I mean, there are several reasons, one of which is so Islamophilia, the love of Islam, stems from several, parasitic ideas, one of which is that Islam, because it is in the minority status in the West so far, it is viewed as the underdog. And of course, progressives, with their suicidal empathy, love to view the underdog as downtrodden, and therefore we need to protect it. Of course, what they don't know is that Islam is the majority position in 56 countries that constitute the Islamic organization, the IOC. OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And so therefore they have this reflex, right? The noble Gazans are the sweet boys, the Israelis are the mean guys. And so that just comes from the reflexive bent of progressives to always go for the minority.
Progressives seem to have a switch in their brains, a reflex, that causes them to instinctively support anyone labeled a minority or underdog, no matter the facts. The moment criticism is raised against such groups, the switch flips. Defend at all costs. They don't ask whether the criticism is accurate. They don't engage with the evidence. They just scream racism, bigotry, Islamophobia, or whatever the label of the day may be. In doing so, they elevate minority status above truth and treat criticism of any group with less power as inherently immoral, even when the majority is telling the truth. Leftists don't deny this pattern. They proudly admit it. As one leftist writer said in an article published on Medium, "Though we didn't agree on everything, we shared a desire to understand others, an openness to new experiences, and a non-judgmental approach to life. We both seemed to root for the underdog, too. Because Sam came from a relatively privileged background, which can sometimes render people out of touch, his empathy really drew me in. I believe the objective above is simple to achieve. Just don't be a racist, sexist, homophobic piece of shit, irregardless of the heavy burden of your human struggles. Anything less reveals a great weakness, one I don't have time for or welcome in my life." She certainly sounds non-judgmental, doesn't she? But notice what she proudly confesses. We seem to root for the underdog. That sounds noble on the surface, but it's not. We are not supposed to root for the underdog by default. We're supposed to root for the person or group that is right, that is just, that is moral. Imagine a teenager from a terrible background holds a shopkeeper at gunpoint during a robbery. Police arrive, trained, armed, and more powerful than the robber. Who do you root for? The robber is clearly the underdog, but does that make him deserving of your support? Of course not. Only a morally confused fool would cheer for the criminal simply because he's weaker. Being the underdog doesn't make you righteous, and being stronger doesn't make you oppressive. Morality is not defined by relative power. It is defined by truth and justice. But many progressives never ask what is good or right. They support whoever seems vulnerable, even if that person is a criminal, a liar, or a threat to society. And that's not compassion. That's corruption of judgment. Michael Watson, writing for Capital Research Center, explains the problem well. This form of argumentation conveniently deposits any political position into one of two buckets: for the oppressors, and therefore bad, or for the oppressed, and therefore good. The only question is defining who is oppressed, which seems to function as a ranking on intersectionality points. Thus, it is safe for everything leftists to side with Jews when they are attacked by white supremacists, who have no intersectionality points, but it is not safe for everything leftists to side with Jews when they are attacked by Palestinian militants, who have many intersectionality points. Intersectionality used in this way is a cancer on the planet. It is one of the most intellectually bankrupt systems ever devised for judging morality and truth. Under its logic, truth is no longer determined by reality, evidence, or sound reasoning, but by race, gender, religion, and perceived oppression status. So instead of asking, "Is this true?" people ask, "Who said it?" And if the speaker is a black woman, her opinion is given more weight than that of, say, an elderly white man, not because it's more rational, but because she ranks higher on the so-called oppression scale. It's the exact opposite of what Maimonides wisely taught. Accept the truth from whatever source it comes. Instead, modern leftists accept the opinion of the perceived underdog, even when that underdog is irrational, immoral, or openly violent. This way of thinking is not only foolish, it's morally corrupt. Your race, gender, or religion does not make your opinion more valuable. Believing that non-white voices are automatically more truthful or worthy is literally racism against whites. Anyone who claims to be anti-racist while pushing intersectionality is probably either a hypocrite or a liar. And even if you argue that intersectionality didn't originally mean that, it doesn't matter. This is what it has become in practice. Progressives need to grasp something incredibly simple. The weaker group is not always the oppressed group. Hamas is weaker than the Israeli military, but by every moral and historical measure, they are the oppressors. They are terrorists. They massacre civilians. They target children. And yet, because they rank high on the intersectionality scale, many progressives defend them, even though Hamas would gladly kill those same progressives if it advanced their cause. It's completely backward. It's evil. And frankly, it's satanic. Instead of following these corrupt values, follow the words of the wise. You must not pervert justice. You must not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the rich. You are to judge your neighbor fairly. Leviticus 19:15. This verse destroys the false moral binary of intersectionality. There is no assumption that the poor are right and the rich are wrong. There is no assumption that the minority is morally superior to the majority. We are commanded to judge with fairness, not bias, and not based on identity. The proper way to judge is to examine facts, logic, and evidence. Not skin color, not gender, not oppression points. Don't fall into the trap of supporting a group simply because your political opponents oppose it. If you lean left, don't support Islam just because you think the right criticizes it. That's not wisdom. It's reactionism. Truth and justice are not found by reflexively siding with the perceived underdog or doing the opposite of your opposition. Follow the facts. Stand for what is right, no matter who else agrees or disagrees. A quote attributed to Dennis Prager is what I will leave you with. Compassion without wisdom is dangerous. It's what enables people to support the underdog, even if the underdog is evil. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, and check out other videos on this channel.